Thank you all for joining us here today, both in person and online. If you are doing the online version and everything, my name is Hunter. This is my dad, Tim. I was diagnosed with autism at 20, and what you are going to hear today is pretty much my life story from childhood up until this conference and everything. Also, do not expect me to be as good as Rashawn when it comes to talking about that. There ain't no way anyone is going to be better than him at this.
It's rather intimidating. Rather intimidating having you follow Rashawn.
Very intimidating, but we're gonna try our best. Or rather, I'm going to try my best. He's going to try and keep me on track.
It's a good point. You lived it more than anybody.
That is very true.
For a while, I thought your story was about me, but it's really not.
No, though you do have a key piece in it when it comes to the early childhood.
Yeah, you were kind of young at that point.
Yeah. All I could do then was just cry, eat, and be annoying.
I was gonna say, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that.
No.
So I'm very glad you didn't, because I would have replaced annoying with a different activity that you had as a young child. But yes, growing up, dude, you were my first child. So I really didn't know what to expect, but I came from a large family. I thought I knew what was happening. And so when you were born, everything about you was perfect to me. I mean, granted, it was a little disconcerting when they said, you know, there was this issue with bilirubin, which I had never known was such a thing until you were born. And so we brought you home in this little glowworm thing. And I stressed the max out of it. Is your mom had to calm me down, because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's jaundiced. He's going to grow up being yellow. And we have him in this glowworm, and we got to sit out in the sun, and you were born in December, and we're in Wisconsin. There is no sun in December in Wisconsin.
He is very right. The sun does not exist.
Listen, it goes away for months on end. And so I was pretty much
not as bad as Alaska's, though. Not as bad as Alaska's.
That's true. So I was freaking out, but your mama helped calm me down. And
she's
we're
rather good at that, isn't she?
She's really good at that. And so we didn't have a clue that there was anything out of the ordinary going on with you, until we had your sister.
Yep. She was born on July 4th, if anyone needed that information.
And if you did, please see me afterwards, because that's rather frightening. Yeah, so you were born December 23rd, and she was born July 4th. My family insists that there's something about 9 months before holidays that are really important in our life, but neither here nor there. So she was born, and she was...
I had no idea what the heck to do with her.
Well, that is also very true. But all of a sudden, we started noticing that she was starting to hit some of these developmental milestones and doing some things even at the same time, or maybe a little bit ahead of you, and you're 18 months older.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a friend of ours who worked in special education that said, you know what? You might want to consider having Hunter tested. You're about 3 years old at this time.
And cue all the doctors. Quite literally, I went through 4 of them before I got diagnosed.
This is true. So cue the doctors and cue the special educators. So the first thing we did was we had...
Thank goodness for special educators.
Yes, because they started you on early childhood education.
Speech therapy, or OT. I can never say the O word when it comes to that one. Physical therapy and general social skills.
Right. Do you remember much about early childhood and the classroom and the bus that would pick you up and got lost once and freaked us all out for like an hour because we couldn't freaking find you?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was not a fun time for me, your mom, or your grandma. Because she was taking care of you at the time, and well, yeah, they totally freaked her out. Yeah. But what else do you remember about it?
The fact that the bus driver was always on time, knew everybody's name on the bus, first or last name, because again, really early 2000s, very strange child names at the time.
I don't think that's changed.
You might be right.
Well, so what was it about your early childhood teacher that you really liked?
Again, same thing with the bus driver. They knew everyone's name. They sat us down one-on-one and talked with us about sometimes, or just sat us in small little groups with chocolate milk and everything and just said, have this, I'm just gonna talk to you guys. So how was your day? Stuff like that, pretty much. Yes, they were teachers and educators, but their primary thing was, how can we help these children understand that this is now going to be their world when they get a little older?
It's a lot of work on speech therapy, recognizing
All the way through high school.
which is friggin' amazing, the amount of words that you now use and that people can understand. Some days I miss the old days.
I don't. I like being able to do this. If I could do this full time, I would.
So we from early childhood, you got to go into kindergarten. But one of the things that I remember about early childhood is the fact that they worked really hard on occupational therapy, on that physical therapy, trying to get you to understand how your body was working together, because that was kind of a point of stress, little stress back then, because you didn't have a lot of stress back then. You were doing pretty good.
No, I was very stress-free as a child.
And why was kindergarten such a good time for you as a child?
My mom was my teacher. Maybe that would help a lot. It also helped that it was a somewhat private school as well. Mm-hmm. It was also where I truly got a lot of good friends and everything, and kept them up until my parents decided to go, you know what, let's move to Madison.
Okay, let's not skip ahead in the story where we totally ruined your life for the first time.
Hey, it wasn't that bad.
Okay. So what else about your friends? What was it about the friends in kindergarten that really made a difference for you?
The fact that they included me. They brought me into their circles of friends, helped me find the toys, helped me with homework, helped me with my speech problem as well when the speech therapist isn't around or one of the teachers wasn't around to help. So they double checked what I was saying, what I was writing, because English has never really been my best when it comes to writing. Still really isn't. But again, jumping a little too far ahead.
Yeah, especially as what's one of your favorite hobbies right now?
Writing.
Yeah. And it was like pulling teeth to get you to do any of that in school.
Yep. I bombed the SAT on that one.
You really are skipping ahead today.
Yep.
All right, well, let's keep you in Martin Luther Christian School for a couple more years. So you stayed there first and second grade. And what was impactful about those teachers?
Again, the fact that they sat us down one-on-one after class to help talk about homework or the general lesson plan and everything, or just in general talking to their students and creating this sort of good relationship that teachers and students should have.
And how were your friends at that time? Were you making friends? Did you have friends?
Same group of friends that I had through kindergarten and everything up till third grade.
One of the things that I remember about that group of friends is they were very willing to allow you to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah, and I made a lot of them.
Yeah, as everybody does. But you were still learning about how to say things correctly, how to interact correctly. And I remember we were really worried about one of your friends because you were just brutally blunt at times in first and second grade. And she was just like, yeah. And she's just like, it's okay. I let him know when it hurts my feelings and he changes. They were just really good at supporting you, at letting you make mistakes.
I am trying to remember that person's name, and for the life of me, I can't.
Me neither.
Hooray for our memories.
I know. I have an excuse.
I don't.
It'll come. So in about 10 minutes, her name is going to pop up into our heads and we're just going to blurt it out. Okay.
So 10 minutes after this conference?
No, maybe 10 minutes into this. We'll see.
I hope.
So what happened then between first and second grade?
Pretty much you guys found a good job up in Madison. Again, I'm jumping ahead in the story, or at least you started looking into a better job up in Madison.
So to portray myself not as a total horrible dad,
He wasn't.
we had the opportunity to take over to begin actually as house parents for a maternity home in Madison, Wisconsin, where we were taking first-time moms and help them to reparent themselves, to parent their children, to really try to give them a basis for how to be parents. Because as we heard from Rashawn, there's a lot of different cultures and cultural differences out there that don't help us in our parenting skills.
Yeah,
And so, is that directed at me?
maybe.
That's what I thought. So we moved my wife, Hunter, and Samara into the maternity home. So we were there 24/7, working with these wonderful young women and these babies.
Very beautiful building as well.
And that constituted, though, you going to a different school
Yay.
and your third grade teacher.
Yep. So all of you know who Voldemort is, correct? Or very loosely. Yeah, my third grade teacher was my Voldemort. I don't like talking about him.
So your third grade teacher shall remain nameless.
Yes,
And not because you can't remember her name.
correct.
You
That is a
don't
small part.
remember her name.
I don't remember her name. I just don't really like my third grade teacher.
Why not? What was it that was different about the way that she was a veteran teacher. She knew her stuff. What was different about her than your other teachers?
The fact that she treated her classroom like a factory, in sense that, yeah, she didn't give any individual time. She just laid out the lesson plan and was like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And everybody gets to do it. And you go at my pace and my pace alone.
Doesn't work, does it?
No,
Would you safe to say that people are more individualistic than that?
very much so. We're not machines, we're human.
And you have your individual needs, wants, desires, and abilities and strengths?
Yes.
So the other thing that this did, though, was because we had conflict with that third grade teacher, they also brought in the school psychologist and they started the process of an educational assessment.
Yep.
So they're working on the educational assessment. And this was then when we went to go to see about an autism assessment for you as well.
Again, still early 2000s, going into 2010s and everything at this point. So the research on this wasn't perfect.
We weren't where we are today
No,
with
dear-
autism.
Dear Lord above, no.
True. So there you were in third grade. You
Confused as all heck on why I was seeing this therapist.
Well, yeah, I don't even think you were seeing it there. Oh, at school.
Yeah, the school one.
That's true. Okay, seeing the school counselor. So they were doing educational assessment on you. We were doing medical assessment on you. Your teacher was not supportive of anything out of the ordinary, expecting you to sit and learn, very much a sit and get sort of thing, like y'all are doing right now, because we know how effective it is. So thank you so much for wasting your 90 minutes with us, because we know there's going to be maybe 2 minutes worth of stuff that you're taking home. So appreciate.
Hopefully more than 2 minutes.
Okay, maybe more than 2 minutes. So what did the doctors have to say? Do you remember?
Yeah, he doesn't have autism, but he definitely is going to be behind his peers.
Okay, so we had a developmental delay. Do you remember what else that he said?
Anxiety.
Yeah, so there we were. All of a sudden, this third grader with anxiety. Okay, this was not part of my growing up.
No, and it's also kind of shattered your little perfect view as well.
Yes, I mourned the loss of my child. Thank you so very much.
At least a somewhat normal child.
You're not entirely wrong. Okay, because there was.
Is it strange that I'm a little scared when he said that?
Well, because there is a sense of grief because of the way that, okay, too much. Because of the way that I grew up in the family that I grew up in, I was fully determined that you're going to be a child that I was never had, that you're going to have the dad that I never had, that you're going to have all these experiences that I never had, and that you're going to succeed in ways that I never even had the opportunity to succeed. And then all of a sudden we were stuck with this developmental delay. We were stuck with this speech issue where nobody could really understand. You were stuck with you're this ball of anxiety that you just couldn't seem to calm down and focus and do anything. You were always just anxious and unhappy, and I figured that was probably my fault.
It wasn't. Thank you very much.
I know. And thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But there was a little bit of grieving that the dreams that I had for us had to be changed, and we had to start redreaming.
Sometimes change is a good thing.
It is, especially when you're talking underwear.
I was leaning more towards childhood.
Oh, okay.
Than
you
that.
you can go there too.
Oh, and politicians. Gotta get you guys to laugh somehow.
So a week from elections and you went there.
What better time than now?
Good point. So you're this little, so we figured out that you had anxiety, that you're having some challenges obviously in school. So the school said, hey, this looks like educational autism to us. The doctor said, no, it's not autism. And so we were stuck.
Yeah.
So
No one really crossed their T's and dotted their I's correctly.
So the two didn't talk to each other very well. And so we decided to split the difference. And
Oh, no, they talked. It mostly was yelling.
I am so sorry that's how you felt about your school. But I remember your third grade teacher, and that's not surprising. So we decided that we weren't going to label you with autism,
Thank goodness.
but we did want to access special education.
And very much, I thank you for that because I needed it.
Yes. And so that was where you got help there. But we also decided to work on your anxiety. Do you remember what happened during those times?
I actually got a true blood out of school therapist to help.
Did. So there you are, third grade, and you have your own therapist.
Yeah, that was fun.
Didn't talk about that a lot at school, huh?
No, thank goodness.
So what did you learn at that young age from the therapist?
Positive self-talk. If I get angry, I lose. Retreat, reinforce, re-engage, which we will come back to those three in a little bit.
Yeah, because you keep misremembering. That wasn't his, dude. That was ours.
He gave us the tools to begin that.
Okay.
Yeah, try and tell me I'm wrong.
Would it do any good?
Exactly.
Okay, then. So you positive self-talk.
Yep.
When you get angry, you lose because you were a pencil thrower.
And I also broke pens.
Yeah.
How in the world I managed to break plastic pens, I will never know.
No idea either, but you managed it.
Surprisingly, I never
what else was there?
damaged
Okay,
any
so
of the walls at the school.
The retreat, re-engage, reinforce, re-engage.
Yep.
Okay, what was the other one?
Retreat, reinforce, re-engage.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute.
I feel like
So-
we're skipping over the 4th and 5th grade teacher a little.
You know what? You're probably right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we're
so
kind of forgetting
Are we
about
done
that.
with third grade?
We're done with 3rd grade and
Finally
we're
putting
on
third grade behind you.
for this conference. Yes.
So yes. So realistically, it took all of third grade to get everything in place.
And
The
continuing
therapist
talking with the
and-
therapist.
Right, in special education. And so then a change came in 4th and 5th grade. What
I
happened?
got a good teacher yet again.
So what made this teacher good?
The fact that she was complete other side of the 3rd grade teacher, but also kept that whole strictness of the 3rd grade teacher, but in a much more nicer way.
Can you explain that a little more? Because that could be a little confusing.
Sure, she didn't throw me out of the classroom. I voluntarily left her classroom.
Hence the retreat, re-engage, reinforce. So we were getting phone calls constantly
Primarily from the principal and his secretary.
about you not being in class, or you throwing pens, or you going under your desk, basically not engaging in school, which was basically what they would really like you to do because, well, it was school.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. So we decided that we were going to, and working with, I'm sure we worked with your counselor on this, although we're pretty
We did.
sure we came up this on our own. But anyway, we might have worked with your counselor on this. Okay, we probably did. But
100%.
what did you love back then? What were
I
some of
love
these-
military history and I still do.
Absolutely.
I quite literally have about maybe 2.5 bookcases devoted to military history.
and some of
And
it
I still want
actual,
more.
some of it's actual factual.
Oh,
military
100%.
history too.
I have a big book on the U.S. Army.
You're not counting your Warhammer 40K.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's science fiction.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you're a big military history buff. And so we decided to work within your passion, work within what you understood and the language you understood. And so we came up with the fact that, hey, if it's getting a little bit overwhelming, because we're starting to figure out that having 30 other kids around was a little bit overwhelming for you and your anxiety. So we said, okay, you get the opportunity to retreat and to reinforce.
It was the last one that I never really learned, hence why the calls from the principal and the secretary.
Yeah, so we worked on retreat, get away from the situation, and we worked on reinforce, use those tools that the counselor gave you, the deep breathing, the self-talk. When you get angry, you lose. And so gave him the opportunity to reinforce himself, never telling him that the purpose of reinforcement was to then re-engage. Yeah. So he was enjoying the retreating of the reinforcing as he would wander around the entire school.
Yep.
Reinforcing himself. Hence the friendship with the principal.
Yep. Guy gave me cookies. I liked his chocolate chip cookies.
We are very grateful to have a really good principal who took him under his wing. And that's when we added the third R, the re-engage. Is that the reason why we step back and the reason why we use these tools is so that we can move forward again in life. And so your re-engagement was, this is what you need to do to get back in the classroom to learn.
Yep. Also, during the 4th and 5th grade, I got my good circle of friends back, not from my previous school, but a new circle of friends that basically brought me under their wings, much like the principal did, much like my 4th and 5th grade teacher did, much like a few other teachers outside of my 3rd grade teacher, of course, did as well. The entire school just basically was like, you know what, let's try and help this kid alongside everyone else as best as we can, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. They were a really good group.
For you. They were an amazing group.
And this you'll figure out why that was important in a little while. So the other thing though that we did a couple other things with you to try to help you. Number one was all of a sudden I found myself going on every single field trip in the 4th and 5th grade.
He literally did.
Yeah. So overnight camp, I was there. Going down the luge, which I did not enjoy at winter camp. Yeah, that was also me.
Yeah, didn't you almost accidentally break your leg on that one?
It was not pretty. It was not a pretty time. Crane Foundation. I learned all about cranes.
I love the Crane Foundation.
I thought it was going to be the big mechanical ones, but
no, it's the actual animal.
Yeah. But we did.
They are practically almost everywhere in Wisconsin.
For a while, they were endangered. And now they're like in everybody's backyard.
He had to outfront his work a few months ago.
It's true. Sandhill cranes. But
one of the more aggressive breeds.
So we basically, school events, we were there all the time together.
Yep.
So I was always there to support you and make sure that everything was okay and to give you someone that you could talk to calm down and to help you engage. Because even with that circle of friends, the engagement wasn't totally there.
He's not wrong. I still was very much more centered around myself. I was a verbal child, but again, as he explained, I was very blunt and everything. I was slow on uptakes of jokes and everything. And it was just a hard thing for me to click and everything with my peers and everything else. So it was very hard for me to truly, fully engage with them, but they dumbed down all their conversations for me to include me.
So we also then got you involved in karate.
Yes.
What did that do for you?
Self-discipline and eye control, which I already had pretty okay eye control despite my glasses.
Okay. And do you remember why we started you in karate?
The fact to help me with self-discipline and my anxiety.
It did have something to do with your anxiety, because one of the things that we were noticing is the fact that you sort of were a little behind in this body awareness about how to move your body, about how to tell your body different ways to move. And so we thought, instead of throwing you into a competitive sports environment like every other parent did in the world, we decided to put you in karate where you could learn these things.
Thank you.
You are welcome. That was my personal experience of what I had to go through growing up that I wasn't going to do to you.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah. So
I could not see myself in football.
Right. Yeah, it didn't fit me well either.
Same
So,
with baseball or any sport, really.
so you learned karate, you learned how to move your body, you learned how to focus, you learned that self-discipline,
Expanded my group of friends.
and you expanded your group of friends. Do you remember anything else about how, well, let's talk about your friends a little bit again. How did they support you and how'd that work?
They basically kept me on track with what my instructors were saying. They helped me, well, guide me through the proper moves and everything, and just, again, took me under their wings and was like, we're going to help you the best we can with what we're doing here.
Yeah, one of the couple important things was letting the instructor know that he was allowed to lay hands on you to move your body the way that he wanted it to move, because we went through that frustration at the beginning of karate of, okay, cross your legs and do a kick. And watching all the kids cross their legs to your kick as you sat there trying to figure out how the heck do you tell your body to cross your legs, move and kick?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't just the knowledge, it was the translating it into actually moving of your body.
Muscle memory is a fun thing
Absolutely.
and very helpful.
And you also went to competitions. And
Yep.
So you had the friends supporting you at competitions. That was also
Actually won first place in a couple of them.
You did. And this was also, you had some friends that you would do sleepovers with and vacation with their families, which was entirely
Their choice, which
Their
was
choice.
very fun to do because, again, I wasn't really a part of their families, but they brought me into it and everything. And I loved that from what they were doing and everything.
And so how did karate end up for you?
I ended up getting my first degree black belt in it. And then promptly stopped doing karate.
Sounds like me and the piano.
Sounds like you in any
Except
musical
I never got a
instrument.
black belt in piano.
No,
Thank
but you could still play the piano.
Thank you. So then what happened at the end of fifth grade?
We moved back to Stoughton.
So what did that mean for you?
Insanity with the school district, because apparently the Stoughton school district decided, you know what, let's merge our high schools and middle schools again.
Yeah, they were going through this time where they would move classes in and out of each other in fifth and sixth, seventh, seventh, eighth, ninth, and it was a mess. So we
It was an
decided
unsolvable Rubik's Cube of a
We did-
problem.
we decided not to put you in that mess.
Thank you.
And so what happened to your schooling?
Homeschool.
Yeah, and who was your homeschool teacher?
My mom, yet again, because somehow she still retained her teaching degree.
Yeah, so you had a degreed licensed teacher as your homeschool teacher.
Yep.
So how did that work for you with school without the 30 other kids in class and without all that anxiety and social pressure? How was your school?
I passed. Lost the majority of my social skills, but I passed. My sister didn't like it. She was the social butterfly. I was the social tortoise.
True. That's very, very true. So what did you do? What helped you as you were going through homeschooling?
The fact that I could easily pull on your knowledge and mom's knowledge.
Okay, so you had people to help you with the actual schoolwork. You were still in karate.
Yep.
Okay, so you're still doing karate. And then we decided to change things up a little bit again.
Yep. My sister decided, you know what? I'm going to go to the actual brick and mortar school. And I went to online.
Okay, so you were doing online schooling. How long did you do that?
From like 7th up to end of high school.
Yeah, so right around 8th grade through high school. And
Yeah.
how is that for you with your how are your social interactions with your virtual high school?
Much better than it was with homeschooling.
It's not saying a lot, dude.
I know.
We didn't do a great job.
No.
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 There were chances we did what we could to get you out there, but did you really feel you had any close friends during high school?
Yes.
Who were they?
primarily a few of the teachers, especially my science teacher, he pretty much handed out extra credit, like Jim Carrey's Grinch throwing out the envelopes of lawyers and everything. Jury duty. There we go. That was what I was thinking of.
I knew you were going to get there. We still went on all the field trips we could.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw Cave of the Mounds. That was exciting.
Very fun.
Went to the tour of Lambeau Field, which was exciting, by the way.
Oh,
just so you know, that was awesome.
Didn't we also
For those uninitiated, that's where the Green Bay Packers play. They are not. I'm still going to rep them, but gosh, this is a really rough year for the Packers. So yeah, I am going back on meds.
No, he's never been on meds.
No, that's not true. I'm not going to up my meds. Okay, we're okay. I have other ways to deal with it, but it's a bad year.
You're not allowed to destroy your liver again.
Okay, thank
you did that enough during college.
I really prefer to talk about my addictions on my own terms.
Well, you brought it up. This was your own grave for right now.
All right, so let's get back to you.
Let's.
High school, how did that up for you?
Good. I graduated with honors somehow.
That was amazing.
Despite the fact my math sucked.
And you didn't like to write.
No, I did not. So when I said I bombed the SAT and ACT, I mean, everybody else got above 2.5. I did not.
Yeah, and it goes back to preparation. So in case you're seeing a theme throughout all this, it's unaware parents put their children through difficult situations.
And also the fact that for some odd reason, my high school gave us pre-calc and trigonometry as the junior and senior math classes.
Which was when literally his mom was the only person that could help him. Just
quite literally, she literally was the only person outside of the teacher I could go to.
Me and math, never friends. We did not grow up close.
No, but you were still better at addition than me when I was in 3rd and 4th grade.
But see, that's changed. Is you have grown in being able to do math.
100%. I can actually understand it now.
So the main focus we had was we wanted him to get through high school. We wanted him to graduate high school. So nearing the end of high school, we also decided, you know what? Let's take another look at this diagnosis thing. And so we sent him back in for another autism diagnosis.
If anyone is counting, that's number 3 on the doctor count.
And what did this doctor have to say?
Yeah, no, he's just going to be behind his peers, anxiety, but not autism.
So still no autistic diagnosis. But
this is past 2015, if anybody would like to know.
But anxiety still present. And so we still had this mental health challenge that we were dealing with, that you were dealing with, and that we were not understanding exactly how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So you graduated.
Yep.
And what did we do?
I immediately just was like, you know what? I'm not going to do schooling for a few, and started looking for a job.
We all needed a friggin' break.
My parents especially.
So basically for at least 6 months, it was just like, you know what, dude?
6 to 8.
Stay in the basement, play video games, do whatever. We just can't.
He's not wrong. I am quite literally living in the basement.
It still is. But you're doing... You thought it was a figure of speech?
No. I just wanted to make sure it was clarified.
So we all needed to take some breaths, many breaths.
Yep. On top of this, for some reason, my sister decided to go, you know what? I'm going to go actually into college, and ended up going to the University of Oshkosh.
Yeah, where she still is working on her master's.
Yep. Don't ask me what for. I keep forgetting.
Because she wants to get a master's degree.
Outside of that, what's the master's degree in?
It's a good question these days because she just switched it again. Doesn't matter. This story isn't about her.
True.
Okay, then. So you got a job. Where'd you get a job?
Yeah. Well, my first job was as a bus boy at a local dinner club. That lasted 2 months before the dinner club shut its doors.
What did you do that made it shut its doors?
I did nothing.
Going to stick with that story?
Yes.
Okay.
I only dropped 2 cups in a plate.
Okay, so you probably weren't the cause of the store, the restaurant closing.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Where else did you work?
I got a 6 months dietitian aide at a local rehabilitation home and everything called Nazareth. As I said, that lasted 6 months, had to leave due to health concerns. The steam from the industrial dishwasher started affecting my lungs, so I had to start carrying around an inhaler. I did not know how to use an inhaler.
Again, parents were not exactly on top of everything.
So it's the fact that this was literally the first time I've ever needed one.
Yeah, but we did work with him and decided the fact that you needed an inhaler to go to work meant that probably this was not the job you should have.
My supervisor went over to housekeeping and was like, look, I have an employee here who wants to keep working, but cannot continue working in my department. Can I just toss him your way and see what happens? I stayed there for about another 2 years.
Yeah, so it worked out, but it came with challenges.
Yeah, the biggest one was getting to know the residents because, as I said, this was a rehabilitation home, but also a home where they had people with dementia and Alzheimer's, or was quite literally on their final walks in life.
So we have this super sensitive, anxious guy,
Hot on the sleeve.
interacting daily with patients whose outlook isn't really good.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then stuff started to happen in life.
2016, lost his brother, my uncle. 2017, his father passed away, my grandpa, who I was really, really close with and everything. I loved him to pretty much everything and back. We could sit down and just watch television together and he would understand me when I was talking about the show. Or if we were watching baseball, he would explain it to me and everything. He was pretty much a good grandfather, a lot better father than well, in general.
If they want to come here about my
Yeah, that's
relationship with my
tomorrow.
dad, that would be the talks on forgiveness, if that gives you any hint.
Yep.
So I was very excited when you bonded with my dad. Again, something that I was never able to do growing up.
Yep. And in between both these deaths, we've lost a couple family friends and everything. One of them being someone I grew up with and everything. And I can't fully remember if they took their own life or, okay, so they did. So yeah, that was not fun thing. So I started building up walls, masks, and everything to keep all these emotions down deep within me. Don't. It is not healthy. And I was not old enough to take it out on alcohol or drugs or anything like that. Thank goodness for that.
So what happened?
I wanted to end it all. I didn't physically want to put a gun to my head because I legally couldn't own one because of all the anxiety and everything within the state legislation of Wisconsin. I was not legally able to purchase a firearm. So instead, I wanted to use a knife and just simply cut open my stomach and rip it all out.
And who did you share this with first?
I kind of broke down in the middle of my shift at work. Thank goodness for CNAs. Also, thank goodness for supervisors willing to drive you home.
But the first person you told
and grandparents who love you.
I was very thankful for those grandparents.
Yeah,
But
grandparents on my mother's side who live 4 houses down.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that either.
Oh, come on.
No. So the first person, but I remember the story goes that you started to talk to the residents
Yep.
before you talked to any of your employers.
Yep,
and
pretty
your
much.
coworkers. Why was that?
Because the residents made me feel safe and everything, and I trusted them to help me. And in essence, they did.
Absolutely. Because the job wasn't one of those with housekeeping. A lot of that job was, well, if this, then this. If the tablecloth is too dirty, then change it. So how do you figure that out? I mean, that's so,
Thank goodness for my supervisor giving me a list.
so we started to work on trying to get that job better, but it was a very confusing job. It was a very hard job because it was ambiguous at times. And then you had all of these things going on outside with your family. With death, you're pretty much surrounded by death, is one of the ways that you put it.
Yep. I swear I cursed a crow at some point in my childhood, and I just never got rid of it.
So now we're not allowed to have crows anymore. No, that's not true.
No, I feel like they've been haunting me my whole life.
We're going to get you some help.
I might need it.
So we'll get to that. So it was a pretty depressing time.
Oh, 100%.
And what did your parents do to support you in all this?
I'm pretty certain mom drove me to the hospital, and we were just trying to figure everything out.
We missed every single sign.
Yep.
We had no idea. We were as shocked as anyone when he was taken home by the supervisor, and we went home and we're like, what's going on? And he's like, I just want to die. I just want to die. I just want to kill myself. I don't want to be here anymore. I cannot relay the shock, the fear, the blame that happened at that moment. I was in very much denial that he could actually be there. I just wanted him to not talk about it, and that if he would just stay home, we would be able to get through it. Luckily, he had a different vision.
I basically asked my mom, can you drive me to the local hospital, sit me down in front of a nurse, and see what they recommend? I wanted to get professional help, not just family help. So I then, through that nurse and them reaching out to another hospital, unlike our main keynote speaker, I did not end up hurting anyone or fighting this at all. I went in willingly, and it was the best damn choice I ever made. I spent 2 weeks with those people, with the help they gave me, with the doctors, with the nurses, with the therapists that were part of the hospital. I talked to the other residents for 2 weeks. They helped me, and I was thankful for it. They gave me better tools. They helped me rebuild the tools I had from my first time with my childhood therapist. And now I'm here.
So what were some of those tools? What is it when, so that other people who may have friends or family that are struggling with depression and suicide and anxiety, what are some of the tools that you use to get yourself, back? Luke, return to how do you get back to the side where you want to be, where you can be the most you?
Pretty much what my therapist after my hospital stay gave me was focus on a point in the room, deep breathe, take 10 seconds to do so. And I have used that constantly in my life. If I'm ever feeling overstressed, if I ever hear those dark voices come back up, which I have not heard them in years now. I am 24 and I haven't heard them in over 4 years.
Talk a little bit about because it's one that I didn't understand, the focus on a point in the room. That was a new one to me.
As I said, just any point in the room, be it the floor, be it the ceiling, be it a plant or art fixture, or just in general, a wall. a corner of the wall, a piece of the wall, anything, even an electrical outlet. If that can focus you, do so. Take 10 seconds to breathe and just think, why am I here in this stressful moment? How can I refocus out of this stressful moment?
And that's been helpful to you.
That has been very, very helpful to me.
When do you use it? When do you still find yourself getting stressed?
At my current job, which is at a local grocery store that is a part of a much larger chain known as Pick and Save. I have no idea if you guys have that down here in Oklahoma or not. It's basically Kroger / Roundy's.
Yep. So if you've heard of Kroger's.
Yep. I work in the deli department. And let me tell you, it is a very stressful environment when you are just like one of two workers. We desperately need help.
Spoken to every employer that is out there. You are not alone in that. So what happens when you get stressed at work?
I just focus on a point in the store, take 10 seconds and breathe. Or I go into cooler and just internally scream for about 5 seconds. Trust me, my coworkers swear that actually works.
Yeah, you're not the only one that goes in that cooler and screams for 5 seconds, are you?
No.
No. It is a coping mechanism of deli workers worldwide.
Yep.
It's awesome. What else have you changed to have less anxiety in your life? I know that's a leading question, and we'll get to the answer I want you to give shortly.
So not alcohol.
It's good for you. And why? Go ahead. Why have you learned to not turn to alcohol?
Because I don't want to end up like you with a debunked liver.
My liver. In case you haven't figured out, I am an alcoholic, but my liver is fine. Okay.
You can only drink non-alcoholic.
Not every alcoholic drinks to the point where they get liver damage. They don't.
But the majority do.
So yes.
You're just part of the minority that chose not to.
So yes, and part of the reason why you are cautious about your drinking goes back to what Rashawn was talking about, is that alcoholism is an openly discussed part of our lives.
Yep.
I
actually have made the joke that I am a part-time alcoholic to my coworkers, and they just laughed and were like, yeah, we see it.
That's not a good thing.
No, the good thing is I made them laugh.
True. And
I like making people laugh. And no, that does not mean you'll find me in a comedy club.
Although it's a thought.
It is a big thought, but I would be very much red lighted off the stage before I even begin.
We are so off track.
And loving it.
True. So we're talking about how you deal with anxiety. Now, I had a hidden agenda. So one of the things that we figured out from when you were working at Nazareth House is that when people would tell you what to do, you would just sort of go, okay.
Yeah.
So how have you changed? And then that resulted in so much anxiety, because then you would do what you thought was supposed to be done, but it wasn't what they thought you should do. And so then there was conflict.
Yep.
So
it also doesn't help that I changed supervisors like 5 times when I was working in housekeeping.
Yes, that was not fun at all.
No.
But you figured out something different to do when you started to work at Pick and Save, because you talked about this beforehand. Do you remember now what I'm talking about?
A little, but please continue. When I said I was slow on uptakes, I meant it.
So one of the things that we worked really hard before you got the job, and then when you got the job at Pick and Save, was when you don't understand something, ask a question.
Clarification.
Yep. Advocate for yourself to get the answers to your questions.
Yep.
Have you been able to utilize that?
100%.
Can you give an example?
Best example is usually clarifying with the customer on how much weight do you want, how would you like it cut, and is this the type of meat you want cut, or is this the cheese you are looking for?
This is not the cheese you're looking for.
Thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you've learned to not just ask those questions of the customers, but I know you also ask some of your supervisors.
Yep.
That instead of just pretending that you know the answer, you've learned to advocate for yourself to get the answers.
I'm also learning how to memorize a lot of the numbers involved with the meats and cheeses and salads.
I have absolutely no idea what that means.
Basically, the PLU we enter to print off the tag so that the people can buy what we're selling.
Yeah, still no.
It's the fancy receipt that goes on the product.
Okay. So there's a group of people that are out there going, duh.
I'm one of them.
No. All right. So you got this great job.
Yes.
Have your parents changed anything that they have done to help you out?
Other than the fact you roped me into self-advocacy, not, well, a lot.
Thank you.
No
Do
problem.
you have specifics about how we're helping you with anxiety in life?
Again, you roping me into being part of your job as in Wiseman Center for talking about being a young adult with autism and anxiety and bringing it to a lot of families and everything. Because again, he first started me on health transition, and then it just evolved into doing what I'm doing here.
And why is that important to you?
Because I am I'm really big on self-advocacy. I want people to see more, and for those like me to speak up. We are part of a small group of the silent majority that needs to start speaking up for themselves and not let others control our voices.
Well said. You also have been totally annoyed with the fact that I now do quite regularly check-ins with you.
Not annoyed, just a little.
So it is, we have a lot more conversations about, hey, I noticed that you seem a little down. What's going on? It seemed like you were stressed at work today. Tell me what happened at work.
Yeah, I've had a few of those moments.
And we've learned to ask about them
Yep.
because you hid really, really well. You have always been what's known as a compliant child.
Yeah.
And so if it made us happy, you were more than willing to go along with it.
Yep.
No.
Which led to a lot of art museums.
What? You don't like art museums?
No, I do. It's just the fact that I want to get through it a lot quicker pace than everyone else.
Okay, I'll own that one. I definitely own that one.
And so long as it isn't with your still living brother.
You'll be so excited when I refer to him as that.
Please do. He'll get a kick out of it alongside his partner.
Yeah, he has to be an artist, which means that going through art museums is a painfully slow experience. So yes, we learn to not.
Do I still love said uncle? 100%.
Absolutely.
Do I still love walking through art museums with him? If it makes him happy, yes.
So you're still compliant in some ways, which makes it really hard.
Yep.
To get the truth out.
Yeah, it's kind of like pulling teeth.
Yeah, it is. Not that I've ever pulled teeth. Have you ever pulled teeth?
I am going to confirm or deny that I have done so.
Claim the fifth on that. That's fine.
Yep.
But it does make it hard to. It means that we have to be a lot more direct in our conversations with you, and we have to be a lot more direct in the questions that we ask. And that we can't assume that just because you're hurrying to get away, that it's because there's something else you have to do, that we have to double check and make sure it's not because you're uncomfortable with the conversation, because we've learned we have to dig a little bit deeper.
Yep.
Now, after you got out of inpatient,
Yeah.
what else did you do to help yourself get mentally well?
They put me on a bit of antidepressants, which I am promptly no longer on, primarily because I kept forgetting to refill said medications.
Another parental failure. Thank you so very much.
And also my failure, because it should have been very straightforward. The pharmacy was only like 3 blocks away from our house.
Yeah, but we probably could have noticed before it had been a couple months.
2.5, thank you very much.
So at that point, you were doing well and you said, you know what, I really don't want to go back on the antidepressants.
And cue the other medications, well, more vitamins and everything that I'm currently on.
Okay, so what are you doing these days to keep yourself? Now, you also went to counseling.
Yep, spent about 3-4 months with counseling.
With someone who, we tried to find someone who understood autism as well as anxiety.
Yep. Somewhere in the middle of this, I got diagnosed.
Okay. So right around age 20, you were tired of us saying that you were kind of autistic.
Yeah, we went to a doctor that he knew through his job, which he works for the Wiseman Center out of the University of Wisconsin, and pretty much lives on the inflow of the daily injections of federal grant money.
Yes. I've never really thought of it that way. But yes, I am grant funded. Thank you. I could lose my job at any time. So nice for my anxiety to bring that up.
No problem. I try my best to.
So back to you.
Yes.
With that counselor, was there anything else that you learned about how to stay healthy? Anything you are doing today that keeps yourself mentally well?
Outside of taking the vitamins?
Okay.
Or at least attempting to remember to take said vitamins.
So you're not on antidepressants, but you still take a number of, when you remember, a number of different pills each day. What do you take?
A multivitamin, a vitamin C, a vitamin B, and 2 vitamin Ds.
And why do you take those?
To make sure I stay healthy.
Okay, so those things help keep you
as
balanced.
I still don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
True. So let's talk a little bit about your diet.
My diet sucks.
Yes. And that's why, because of the fact that I don't want anybody to think that we've solved every single problem in the world.
No,
right? No,
we haven't. We never could. We're only 2 people.
That's so a valid point.
We're also not immortal.
This is also true. You're just full of truths today. So do you want to talk about your struggles with eating?
Basically, I am always constantly underweight. I've always been underweight for my peer group. I'm pretty much, you can feel my rib cage, feel my wrists, and even see my spinal cord. That is not healthy at all. I've always struggled with this. I'm still struggling with it. But overall, I do have a plan from a nutritionist and everything, which ties into the whole health transition talks that we have done and everything, in the sense that I set up an appointment through my primary care doctor with a nutritionist. They discovered I had a nutritionist when I was practically 1 foot out the door.
It was quite the surprise, because until then you didn't even make any appointments on your own.
Yeah,
so
I
there was
didn't.
growth through all this. What I'm seeing, Bud, is just a continued growth. And that's why I know that when you work with a nutritionist and you decide that you want to get your weight up, that it's going to happen. Because I look back and I see all of these accomplishments that you have done, all these successes that you
hopefully
have had.
gain weight very healthy and not just snack my way through 30 pounds of donuts.
That would be a very bad way to gain weight.
I would also get my dentist very angry at me.
Yes.
I don't want to anger my dentist. No. I love my dentist.
She is awesome.
My primary care doctor would just be like, what the heck did you do?
True. So you have a good relationship with all of your medical professionals, which is really great.
I love my healthcare team.
Awesome. And one of the things that I want to come back to is because when you're telling your story, what I'm seeing is this curve of, okay, kindergarten, first grade, had these really great friends and friendships, and then you took me out and we went to third grade,
And then it just nosedived.
Nosedive, and then fourth, fifth grade, you started to have these friends again. So what did we do?
And another nosedive.
Yeah, we took you out of that environment as well, and then
Why does my life sound a lot like the New York Stock Exchange?
and so then we had you in high school where there wasn't really a lot of options for friendships. You had 4-H.
Yeah, I was part of 4-H.
We put you in 4-H. So now that you're an adult, you have your own diagnosis of autism. You did that on your own as an adult.
With your help, thank you very much.
You actively talk about your anxiety and you talk about what's going good, the tools that you use, but you're also clear about some of your struggles. So what's happened with the friendship realm?
Pretty much my friendship circle is much larger than it was once I got out of high school. I had like 1 or 2 devoted friends once I got out and everything, but they were primarily just co-workers or old friends that reconnected and everything. And then a local game store opened, which, fun fact, I am a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons.
Do you have openings?
At the game store?
No. If anybody wants to, like get you involved in an online Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yes.
Okay.
Most of my nights are actually wide open. But
not all of them.
Not all of them. Thursday nights is a closed session at the game store, and said owners of the game store actually live rather close, like half a block away from our house. Up a hill, of course, because why not?
We keep trying to get you to move in with them, but they just had, they have kids.
They have twins. I think they have enough anxiety as it is.
Good point. So you have your Dungeons and Dragons friends.
Yep, the general game store friends as well, in the shape of the owners and their 2 adorable twins.
And then what other circles of friends do you have?
My coworkers at Pick and Save, of course, alongside the main store owner and manager.
You know the store owner?
Yeah.
I don't know the store owner.
She regularly comes in and checks in on us. She gave us cute little ghost lollipops for Halloween.
My supervisor didn't do that.
Then find yourself a better supervisor.
So you have friends at work. You have friends with the game store. Anywhere else that you are starting to gather friends around?
My local church and everything, which is about a block and a half away from home, all within easy walking distance alongside downtown, and all of you and Mom's family friends, and what friends my grandparents introduced me to as well.
And you just started a new group of friends, so to speak, because you decided to take a risk.
Yeah.
So he grew up in a family where his mom and me and our eldest daughter all do theater and music.
Oh yeah, Stone and Village Players.
Yeah, and so we always asked him whether he wanted to get involved. He's like, no, I'm way too.
Fun fact, I actually did get involved.
I can't. So then on his own,
I got a role in the local cinema play because our town is primarily Norwegian in heritage.
Yes, so we insist on celebrating the independence of Norway, which really didn't happen, but anyway.
Can't remember if it was from Sweden or Denmark.
I don't, it's a confusing sort of history. But yeah, so they put on a local show.
Yep.
Lines, memorization, costumes, the whole 9 yards, and you auditioned.
Yep. And again, this is a very small local group. About 18, 20 people in total were a part of this play out of like the 15,000 people that live in Stoughton.
Right. And so this show runs then over this huge Sindamai, which
just 3 days.
3 days over the long extended weekend. Whole town turns out. It's one of the biggest celebrations of the year.
We go the whole 9 yards and have parades.
We do two different parades.
2 different parades. And ironically enough, other cities have used our parade to advertise their own celebrations.
Yeah, that's really kind of weird when you see a float from Mount Horeb coming through.
Or whatever city celebrates the German holidays.
That's true.
I
That's
can't
true.
remember if that's Fitchburg or McFarland. It's one of the two.
I have no idea, but let's talk about your play.
Yes, it was fun. It was basically aliens coming to Stoughton, which as it's pretty much a comedy, full on comedy play and everything.
It tries to be.
It succeeds rather well.
It does. It's well written.
It's very well written because again, it's two to three people writing this every single year, and it's the same group that puts it on every single year. Say for COVID. Thank you, COVID.
That was miserable.
Crazy disease.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the interruption of you actually we're heading back to school.
Yeah, that was fun.
But I don't know if you realize the implications of what you are saying. So you have anxiety, right?
Yep.
You don't really like crowds.
Yep.
You used to not like being in front of people.
Yep.
You used to be really mostly quiet.
Very much so.
And you had a certain amount of fear in your life as you tended toward the bad things going to happen versus the good things going to happen.
Yeah, I'm a pessimist at heart.
It's just the way that
it's very fun long car rides with this guy who's an optimist in everything.
Not true.
The majority then.
Car rides are great with you.
Yes.
But dude, so what you neglected to really say with the show is that they have 2 shows on Thursday night, 2 shows on Friday night, 3 shows on Saturday.
Yeah.
And the theater usually sells out. So you performed in front of like 1,500 people.
Pretty dang close, yeah.
I think that's really cool.
It was. But oh dear gosh, the stress of rehearsals.
So how did you deal with the stress rehearsals? How did you deal with
the fact that one of the people is a very good close friend of both the family and myself, alongside the fact that a lot of them we actually do know on first name basis as well helped a lot. And the fact that at least like 3, maybe 4 of them regularly come through to Pick and Save. 2 of them have actually stopped and talked to me.
And 2 of them have totally ignored you.
One I almost called out to. The other one has hearing implants, so I'm doubtful he would hear me if I even yell at the top of my lungs.
Thanks, bud.
Oh, no problem.
So you ended up on stage performing in front of 1,500 people.
Yep.
You ended up coming all the way to Oklahoma City to talk to these folks that you don't know a clue in this room.
100%. I do this also up at the Kalahari. Mm-hmm. Granted, some of them I actually might recognize the names of because you work alongside them.
So let's close with, again, what are you doing today as a 24-year-old? You're on
soon to be 25
next month.
Yeah. Oh dear gosh. Yeah. I keep forgetting that it's November.
It is. We are in November.
Why did 2022 go so fast?
It's flown by.
Why couldn't this happen in 2020?
Because the world was upside down.
The world's always upside down. We just decided to light the gasoline on fire.
It does somewhat feel like what COVID was. Yeah, I can agree with that. So you're on the autism spectrum.
Yep.
You tend toward the pessimistic and the depression end.
Yes, sir.
You still have anxiety.
Yeah, that's one monster that I am trying to keep putting down constantly.
All right. So what is it you are doing today to deal with all of that? How do you stay mentally healthy?
By remembering that I have great tools and support in my friends, my family, my community as a whole, my coworkers at work. Coming out and doing what I'm doing right now is another good coping mechanism for me, is to spread my story and everything, either to families, to just a bunch of random strangers that have no connection to my community or even to my state.
Talking about today, huh?
A little.
Okay. And what else do you do to keep yourself mentally well?
Remembering that I'm human.
Yeah, the whole remembering that you're human, the fact that
We all make mistakes.
we remind each other
Yeah.
that we all make mistakes and that this isn't the end of the world.
Yep.
We talk about this a lot when we talk about driving.
Oh, yeah. I
It's
love
that-
driving.
Yeah, now
Though I am never going to drive in Oklahoma. Dear gosh, why is some of their interstates 75 to 80 miles per hour? No, I barely go 70.
yeah,
Just no.
you're not driving till we. That's exactly what I did on the way here. Yep. So he'll drive in Missouri.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'll take Missouri over Oklahoma interstates any day.
But we talk about the fact that when we're driving and even when we're using GPS,
No offense to the state of Oklahoma.
No offense to Oklahoma. No, we do not want to offend Oklahoma. But even if you miss that turn, even if you missed your destination, it doesn't mean the journey's over.
No, because GPS is a wonderful piece of technology.
Yeah, you can go back, you could take another turn, you can re-get on the route. Is just because you missed something.
Yeah,
doesn't
GPS
mean the
really did
journey's
help
over.
me when going to and from my doctor's appointments, because Madison is a very confusing city.
It is. It's there's people that will not drive in that city. So kudos to you.
I'm not one of them, but dear
Right.
gosh, how the heck do you go from State Street to McFarland?
Well, you don't because State Street's closed to traffic.
I know, that's the whole joke, is that I somehow managed to do that once. You also don't really give me good directions sometimes as well.
Well, that's because I am directionally challenged.
I don't have a comeback for that because I am as well.
There's just too much truth in that statement. So
Yeah.
you've learned that it's okay to make mistakes. That it doesn't mean that when you make a mistake doesn't mean you have to hide it from us because we all make mistakes.
Yep.
You have also one of the things that you always tell me, and that seems to be a go-to for you, and Rashawn talked about this earlier too, is you have this love of music.
I really do.
And how does music help you?
Well, sometimes my mind ends up being a magical musical jukebox. My primary go-to music is hard rock and metal, which very confuses my parents because most of the time they don't even understand the lyrics.
No one can understand the lyrics. Those people who think they can understand lyrics are just making crap up.
Majority of time, he's not wrong.
But somehow the heavy metal, the rock, the movement of that music, you tell me that it calms you down.
Yeah, which is very strange.
Do you have any explanation how that works with you?
Not really, because it's the same thing as me and caffeine.
And how does you and caffeine work?
Instead of giving me energy, caffeine just mellows me out.
Okay.
Hence why I have a can of Coca-Cola up here. It is now promptly empty.
And why I'm drinking decaf.
Yes.
Yes.
He is the exact opposite of me.
Absolutely. You don't want me wired.
No.
But you have found these things that are your go-tos to help you calm down.
Yep. I also discovered that I really like Mentos, and the fact that I can chew and swallow Mentos unlike gum. Trust me, I have swallowed a lot of gum before. It's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
That as well.
Which is really good when you can't seem to remember to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we still have some growing up stuff that we're working on, right?
Yes, please don't make this a discussion into learning how to budget. I say I understand math. That is one aspect of math I will never understand is money.
I have a feeling that if we talked about money and budgeting, everybody in here would have anxiety. So we're not going to talk about it.
Thank God.
You're welcome. All right, so to
wrap this all up.
Let's wrap this up. Yes. What do you want to say to wrap it all up?
Basically, to everyone here, first off, again, thank you. Secondly, if you know anyone with autism, with anxiety, or with depression, sit down, let them know you're there if you need them, and that you are open to talking about. everything with them. Take your time and learn, research what is going on. And even if it is a complete stranger that you see breaking down, just be there for them.
Hey, dude, we had a PowerPoint.
Yes, I know. I think you just figured that out. Did you? My dad, everybody, my dad. The guy who literally has a psychology degree and is possibly even more successful than I ever could be.
I'm just seeing if we missed anything.
I don't think so. Anybody else thinking of the Jeopardy theme song as he's going through this? Because that's what I'm doing right now.
Talk about gratitude. You didn't talk about gratitude. How is that important in your life?
Beyond the fact that I'm grateful that organizations like the one running this conference actually allows me to talk.
What a great shout out to the conference. That was really good. Learn to double check, ask questions. We covered that. That was where we would have brought up your testing if we had remembered we had a PowerPoint.
Yep. Oh yeah, find a safe spot. Forgot about that one. It's basically the same idea of what safe zones should be in schools and everything, but more one person only sort of safe areas. For me, that was primarily either just a quiet place in the room or the principal's office if we're talking school.
Yep. So one of the things you told me before is that.
Oh, and the public library. I forgot about the public library.
Yes, they were really awesome with you.
I freaking love the Stoughton Public Library.
They are really cool. But I know the way that you have talked about it before is that you've had to search for people who accept and will work to understand you.
Yep.
And finding those people can be hard, but it's
100% because they
really
are
important.
a diamond in the rough.
There you go. You also talk about continuing to be who you are.
Yep. Or at least as best as I can be. Because again, I am human.
Yeah, no, oh, dude, that is so right. There are some days where I struggle to be the best me that I can be.
Wait, you struggle with that?
You know I struggle with that.
Yeah, I do. I was just hoping to get a laugh out of the people.
No, they know I struggle with it too by this point. They know I'm an alcoholic. They know that, yeah. So they know a lot more about me than I ever thought they would know about me.
And you can learn more tomorrow.
You have plugged the conference, you plugged my sessions. You are an amazing kid.
I try.
Man, I'm looking at the notes that you gave me, and you have like covered everything. You want to take some questions?
Yeah, if we have time. Do we have time? Can someone please tell me if we have time for a few questions?
We have time. All right.
All righty. Let's go with you first.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for my son. Our life is very interesting. This is what we are every day, and if you don't live it, you don't know it. So it may seem interesting to you, but this is my son. You're my son, and you're me every day. So thank you for reflecting that we're not the only ones. If you don't understand it, you don't understand it. Our life. My question is to both of you, really, but for Dad, there a lot of things were similar, really, which is also very strange, but also very common. The one thing that was different though is my son was diagnosed at 18 months, and as you mentioned, back then it wasn't autism, it was but we jumped right into services. He had an IFSP, he went right into an IE, had an IE out in high school. For you as Dad, you have such a well-adjusted son, even though I understand he has his challenges, but he's also very high functioning. Do you think that that is because of the fact that he didn't get the label, or is it because you decided not to accept the label? Because I do think that sometimes, because I knew that, I mean, there's no way I would have even thought about letting my son fill his own prescription. And by the way, his birthday's also next month. He'll be 20, and on Saturday, he's going to driving school. Oh my God.
Yeah, just tell him to take his time when it comes to driving. It took me 3 tries to get my license.
And that is going to be one of the ways that I answer that, is that I don't think it's about the functioning. It's not about the labels. It's the fact that even though we missed a lot of stuff where the anxiety was, with the autism, we realized early on that he wasn't going to get on the train and be where everybody else was. And so what we started to talk about is that may be where you want him to be, but we're on hunter time. And so we took his development as his development, and we didn't let the system push us into he has to do this at this age. He should be doing this at this age. Well, by here's what everybody should be doing. He said, no. We're going to work on hunter time. We're going to take
And I'm
him.
thankful for that, but dear gosh, please don't continue being on my time. My time sucks.
Dude, for everything, you're doing really well.
I am. It's trying to understand a clock that I'm failing at.
We'll work on that.
We've been working on that my whole life.
Well, maybe we find a workaround. Not everything has to be the same way. So I don't think it was an actual lack of labeling. It wasn't any magic, because as you can see through our story, we made plenty of mistakes through the way. But focus on learning about him and where he's at, where his strengths are, utilizing his interests to engage in how he wants to be mentally well and engage in his autism. Really made a difference, rather than just saying, oh, where's a book that tells me what I'm supposed to do. You got to get to know what the likes and the interests are, whether they're verbal, nonverbal, high or low functioning. We all have interest. We all have likes. We all have dislikes. We all have things that annoy the hell out of us. And if we don't learn those things and bring out the strengths and tamp down the weaknesses, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to believe in their strengths and to be able to grow up into the person that they can be. And so some of it too is just this belief that, as we talked about that mourning period, with what was not a diagnosis early on, but an acknowledgement of differences, it's also this realization that I don't know what is going to happen.
And I'm very glad to be different.
Good for you. We talk all the time about how it's going to be weird, not too weird, but weird.
Being weird is good.
93% weird. That's what we should be.
Now I'll be 94% weird. Just
go for it, dude.
Just to screw you up a little more.
So it's getting to know him and who he is and his strengths and
their weaknesses. Don't forget that.
And being patient. I can't tell you how many times that, talk about driving. Oh my gosh, how many times I wish you would just take the test and be ready and just do it. We just get your license. I'm done with this. And he's like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not comfortable yet. I'm not comfortable yet. And how many times do I want to say, screw comfort, just go take the test?
I think you almost yelled that at me once.
But we didn't, because we listened to you. And you said you weren't ready, that you didn't want to get behind the wheel of the car until you felt you were ready to handle it. And that shows a lot of maturity on your point. And yeah, did it take a long, long time? Yeah, I had no idea you could renew a temporary license.
We also learned that I'm not allowed to drive temporary license outside of the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was my mistake.
I drove on the Ohio Turnpike.
I thought it would be a really good experience for him.
It was a good experience, but thank goodness no state troopers were around.
It was illegal, and it possibly damaged his sister. She was terrified in the back seat. Terrified.
She was.
Another question.
Is your memory still the same, or did you lose that?
Pretty much, I think right now my memory is still as good as it is because, again, I take time to learn these things and everything and try to memorize what I can. I may not be good at math, but I'm good at remembering numbers. Hence why I'm really good at my job, because I'm memorizing the numbers.
Yeah, and
Thank
so
you.
the learning the learning disability, what they would call learning disability, I think was also wrapped up into how autism reflected in him. So again, we may have some differences with the professionals, whether there was an actual learning disability or not. Now, I do know what we have learned with learning is that the more I talk, the less you learn. The faster I go, the less you learn. The louder I get, the less you learn. And school can be a really fast-paced environment. And so you just get stuff thrown at you and you're expected to build on it and build on it, and you're supposed to put it all together yourself. And that was a struggle.
Yep,
That was really hard for him to
that was a struggle bus on top of struggle buses.
I hate those struggle buses.
I think you actually missed your calling. This is just my personal opinion.
No, he does not.
Ah, come on.
I don't want to make your head or your ego go any bigger than it already is.
You have an open room in your house because he's going to need somewhere to live when he can't make a living as a comedian. Yeah, you get to know her. Ooh, what do you think about Kentucky?
What area of Kentucky?
About 20 minutes from Louisville.
I think I could live with that.
I'll put him on a bus. Other questions?
Quick question. First, I want to commend you on telling the story. I work with youth that have autism, and I see that he is on the right path. So I was thinking your story. Really not so. So this year, wanted to a bigger friendship at work. I have two questions. First question is that I see that in her that in this process that I heard that have this review behind them, but it's I know that there's some pieces that his caregivers is not same, towards him. So it's difficult. What can I do to help the caregiver understand that part? And also talk to you or peers who are
To answer your second question first, no, we haven't really thought about doing that, but several people have recommended, much like you, to become a comedy walking show or do a podcast and everything.
The other answer is yes, we have done virtual presentations before. So
Primarily more
very
on
much
the
open to
health
that.
transition and
Yes,
everything,
that's true.
more so than my life story.
Yeah, this is only the third time that you have put yourself there.
First time was just quite literally 2 PowerPoints and me with a microphone.
It went okay.
It went surprisingly okay. I still have said PowerPoint on my computer.
Again, Dad might have been able to step in a little earlier on that, but I didn't. In answer to your first question, as you asked the question, I couldn't help but think how my own trauma background affected how I interacted with him, and that I wouldn't wish my growing up on anybody. But yet, because of the wounds that I had, it made me more sensitive to his growing up. Okay, so I don't know how lightning strikes like that, but it did, and I'm grateful for it. The realization that he is just such a unique individual, and that
We're all unique.
We are, but as he said, he likes to be different. And so I think if caregivers can embrace that difference, can embrace the fact that normality is horribly overrated.
It is.
And that you have a unique person who is going to forge a path and is going to do things that nobody else has done. And that's the person I want to engage with, instead of bemoaning that they're not fitting into the club, that they're not following the right path. And that can be really hard. The other thing to notice would be, have they had the chance to grieve the loss of their dreams? The loss of their dreams for their kids, the loss of the dreams for them as a parent. What were their expectations that aren't getting fulfilled? Because if we don't acknowledge those expectations not being fulfilled, we're going to continue to place that weight on them and that weight on us, because we're going to do everything we can to make them succeed according to our definition of success. And so that's stepping back and grieving that loss and finding that unique individual inside your child is something that I would encourage all caregivers to work on.